Hey guys, it's Aaron and Robert here for Geeks of the Web on hopefully our new podcast. We're going to Talkin Geek, so I like that name.
That's a good name.
I think it's going to work.
I came up with it, so I like it.
He did, so it's all credit goes to him for the name. So if you hate the name, don't blame me.
No one's going to hate it.
So, like I said, last week was a little light on videos. We had a couple of us were not here for about a week. They were off getting married.
Why are you looking
on
at
their
me?
honeymoon.
I don't know what you're talking about.
He was in Tennessee finding Elvis people.
I didn't find him.
You didn't find Elvis?
No.
Dang, man. That's where he's supposed to live.
I didn't look very hard, I'll be honest.
I wanted an Elvis. So yeah, guys.
My honeymoon is all about you.
It should be.
Okay.
It should be. So, what y'all do while you were out there, though? Kind of go into that.
We mostly just relaxed. We were out in Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg area, so there's a lot of touristy stuff out there. It's kind of a family vacation destination spot. So, we just hit up some. We did like a dinner and a show. We did laser tag. We went to the Forbidden Caverns.
Oh, nice.
They let us in, even though it's apparently forbidden.
I know.
And then actually the highlight of the trip probably for me was we actually drove to Hot Springs, North Carolina.
Okay.
And there's a place out there where you can actually, it's basically they feed the hot springs directly into like a jacuzzi tub, and so we just we're sitting there right on a river with natural mineral water hot springs. Just sitting in a jacuzzi and relaxing. So that was a lot of fun.
Nice. Well, that sounds like fun, dude. You do anything kind of geek related out there? So you had a couple shirts.
We did, yeah. I'm not wearing one now because they're all dirty because I wore them already. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Simplistic Geek in Gatlinburg. We actually met the owner of the shop. And he's the artist too.
Nice.
He designs everything, all of its in-house designs. So you'll probably see me wearing a shirt on a future episode. His name is Sean, and they have an online store. You can get them on Amazon and all that stuff. But really cool designs, geeky stuff, superhero stuff, but video game stuff too. Kind of, really anything you could think of. And so I've got, I grabbed a couple ones. You guys will see me wear them on future episodes, but they're really cool shirts. They're, simple and geeky. So Simplistic Geek, that's the name of the store. And the artist and owner was really cool to get a chance to talk with him and just find out about some of his inspirations and stuff. And so we're supporting a local Gatlinburg business. So if you're in the Tennessee area, the eastern Tennessee area, you get a chance to head to Gatlinburg. I highly recommend it. And Aaron's going to turn his phone off now.
That was not unprofessional. I don't know what he's talking about. My phone's off.
Yeah. So that was
cool.
That was definitely the geeky thing that we did. We hit up a couple kind of comic book stores and stuff just to see if there's anything that caught our fancy, but didn't really end up purchasing anything from those. But yeah, got a few cool new t-shirts. So.
That's awesome. Yeah, I saw some of the pictures Kristen had showed me of the, I don't know where y'all were at, but I saw the Master Chief statue and all that.
Oh yeah, that was cool.
I wanted the Master Chief statue.
Yeah, even if we had been able to purchase it, I'm not sure I would have been able to transport it back home for you.
I mean, Jesus don't plane ticket.
Doesn't really fit in the carry-on area, if you know what I'm saying.
Master Chief needs a plane ticket. What? Yeah, the Master Chief needs a plane ticket so we can strap him in there. Kick that guy out. He doesn't be there.
Sure. Yeah.
So that's cool, man. It's good. I'm glad y'all got to relax. Y'all deserve it.
It was a lot of fun.
That's good. So, like I said, it's gonna be a little podcast we're gonna do. Kind of talk about geek-related topics, just stuff that's going on with us as well. And one thing that's come up, which I don't know if Geek Out Essays talked about this, but I wanted to talk about it a little bit and threw Robert in here, see difference of opinions, hopefully, or maybe not, who knows. But in recent times, after the shootings that have happened, and again, prayers out to those people. Those families will never be the same, and I hope they can find some peace in there somewhere.
The most recent ones we're talking about are obviously El Paso, Texas, and Dayton, Ohio. It happened about a week ago now.
Yeah.
And so, I know there were, I think, about 50 people in total that were shot. More than
I think
20 or 30 that are dead, and so it's really tragic.
It is
that we live in a time where it's almost become commonplace, and it's like it's not even shocking anymore. It's almost like we're just counting down the days until the next one happens. And I don't know. I, for one, am, really saddened by that.
It is, man.
And, it's scary. I mean, it can happen anywhere. And, unfortunately, I think that's even part of the motivation for some of these people is they want us to live in fear. They want us to, be worried and not be able to live our lives and not be able to go out and, be part of our community and celebrate with other people that are like us and things like that. And so I would encourage everyone to just, don't let them win. Keep fighting. Keep, doing your thing. And, hopefully as we, progress the conversation, hopefully we can stop talking about these sooner rather than later.
Exactly. Hopefully it'll be something in the past we can look at and as a culture we can learn from. We learn from these mistakes, unfortunately, that have come.
I hope so.
I really do. And no matter what anyone's opinion is on any side of this, just, keeping these families in your parish. That's one thing I want to put out there, because this isn't, I don't want to do this video, anyone thinking that we're trying to get, likes or whatever. I want to do this video just so people see opinions out there. I know the media is right now taking its stance, and this is media that you can go CNN, Fox, ABC, NBC, CBS, Twitter accounts, wherever you want to look. And right now the blame is being put on violence in video games. This has been a subject for the last 20 plus years, honestly.
Sure, and I mean, I don't want to, I don't want to just blanket throw the media under the bus. I mean, this is driven by politicians. Yeah. I mean, the lieutenant governor of Texas came out and, said it. Members of Congress have said it. Yep. Have drawn this link. And there is not statistical evidence to support it. There have been studies done, both here in the U.S. and abroad, that have looked at, is there a link between violence in video games and violence in real life? Is there a link between playing too many video games and bad grades, or, all these things? There's not. Spoiler alert, there's no link. Video games are not bad for people. No. 70 years ago, people were blaming, comic books for the violence, and they were blaming. So there's always something else to blame. And, if you're in an elected office, or, you're trying to shift the conversation because you don't want to talk about guns anymore. Mm-hmm. And so now they've moved it on to video games, and we know it's bullshit.
We know, and it really is, guys. There is, like Robert said, there's no scientific evidence anywhere that has ever linked it. Right now, I don't quote me on who it was. I believe it was a congressman has already stated that Japan doesn't have gun violence because they play less video games, which is a very incorrect statistic.
Yeah, that's really funny.
I'll see if I can find a little picture and post it up here if we can. But Japan is actually one of the biggest countries out there that plays video games, and they have one of the lowest gun violent crimes.
Yeah, well, South Korea is the same. They're one of the highest purchasers of not just video games, but even what would be classified as violent video games, first-person shooters, things like that. Mm-hmm. And they don't have a mass casualty problem, a mass shooting problem in South Korea. So it's impossible to, there's so many factors that go into it, and it's impossible to just pick one. And it's really unfortunate that, video games at this point are being targeted. The gaming culture has been historically picked on, right? I mean, it's been something that has, there's a specific stereotype that comes with it that, I mean, even, you look at like something like The Simpsons with comic book guy, right?
Oh, and, gosh,
and so it's just like there's always been this kind of inherent stereotype about it. And, this is not helping the conversation. We're all gamers.
And it's true.
Like, I'll be perfectly honest. I am probably, of our entire crew here at Geeks of the Web, I'm the one that plays video games the least.
I'm probably one that plays the most.
Growing up, we didn't, my family, we didn't have like a video game system. My dad was concerned about putting food on the table, right?
Exactly.
He was concerned about, our entertainment options. There was outdoors and there was a library. What more do you need, right?
You got this, kids. You're good.
So, I didn't play a lot of video games growing up, but, I have played them, in the last 10, 15 years. I've gotten into different video games, and I've played all types. I've played first-person shooters. I've played sports games. I've played music games. I've played, adventure games, all that stuff. they don't affect me.
Right.
The entertainment that we consume doesn't drive our actions. Is really what I guess I'm saying. It's not about what we're doing now. When you're 5 years old, is the entertainment that you're consuming maybe forming some of your worldview? Sure.
Yeah.
But that's not the violent video game's fault.
No.
That would be on the parents, at least if you ask me.
Exactly. I mean, the was it ER?
ESRB?
ESRB.
Yeah.
I always get the S and the R backwards.
That's right.
That's my dyslexia. That was created shortly after the Columbine shooting back in '99.
Yep.
So people were concerned about games and
That's
everything.
when it came up. Really, kind of the first time was Columbine.
Back
20 years ago,
Yeah,
and we're
well,
still
that's
having
20.
this conversation.
That's sad when you think about it. It's been 20 years. Like, just
Yeah.
said 99. Like, I was like, yeah, that's yesterday. Dang.
20 years.
But 20 years now. So 20 years ago, we had this conversations. People were talking about violence in video games. Marilyn Manson with his music. It always comes up. Violence in movies. So back then, the ESRB.
That's right. You
Did
got
I get it right? Okay. I was like, wait, did I get it wrong? See, I always get backwards. So they developed. The gaming company developed it and put it out there. Now, is it perfect? No, but nothing is ever perfect. But it's something. And then again, like you kind of commented, it comes back to the parents. Are you letting your child play a mature game or a 17 and up game or an adult game, whatever the case is? And if it's a 15-year-old, 10-year-old, 11-year-old, should they be playing that game really? And that's where I come back on the other end and say we need to look at the parents more. Like if my kiddo was playing Call of Duty, I would be a little concerned at a 9-year-old playing a 17 and up game. Even like Left 4 Dead 2, which is a zombie game, I don't even let her play those things. Even though it's completely fictional, I don't let her play them. Halo, same thing. It's still fictional. It's sci-fi, but I won't let her play them. She plays Minecraft. She plays.
Sure.
What's the other one she's on to right now? Something with the dragon people. They're into all of that stuff, and and that's where, as a society, we really need to make sure we're paying attention to what our kids do.
Yeah.
I really don't think video games are going to be the blame here. It's never been. It's never going to be. And we need to accept that, guys, that at this point, it's just not going to happen. It's not going to ever be that.
Well, again, it's not the media's fault. It's not entertainment media's fault. It's not, the TV shows or the movies or the video games or the music. It's not any of those things that's driving this. It's people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it is. And so, every person is different. Every kid is different. So what one 12-year-old can watch is different than another 12-year-old because, everybody develops a little bit differently.
Yeah.
And some people, will expose their kids to different things at different ages, and that's up to them. And, we live in a free country where, you're allowed to do those things. And I'm grateful for that.
Same.
But at the end of the day, when we look at, these violent tragedies, it's really unfair to put the blame on entertainment media, and it's really unfair to put people in a box and say, well, this happened because this person likes these movies or these video games or those things. It happened because that person has something wrong with them. Some sort of, it's maybe it's mental illness, maybe it's just some sort of what do you call it, sick in the head or whatever you want to call it. It's something I don't think I could ever understand. What would cause somebody to do something like that. And at the end of the day, it's different for each person. And so trying to find a root cause and say, violent acts are caused by this one thing, it's ridiculous. I mean, you said throw prayers out to people before, and I'm totally fine with that. Yeah. But, I'm going to get biblical here for a second. Cain never played any video games. Okay? And he killed
I want to know what game he was thinking about playing, though.
I mean, I'm just saying. So
you never know. He may have saw Call of Duty somewhere, man.
That's the thing, is like violence has been in every culture, in every place in the world for as long as humanity's been around.
Mm-hmm.
And so to try and link it to something like video games, it's disingenuous and it's hurtful to a group of people that, are enjoying what they enjoy. Exactly. I mean, like that to me is like the worst part of all this, is that it's making people feel bad for the things that they enjoy doing.
Yeah.
And it should never do that. And that came out wrong. That's not the worst thing that about this. Of course, the worst thing is people.
Yeah.
That their lives have been permanently affected.
Exactly.
People have died. That's the worst thing.
Yeah. No, that's the worst.
Just to clarify. But certainly, it's a very bad byproduct of this is that there are people out there, whether it be parents of children, whether it be someone like Walmart who is sitting here like a Batman villain, Two-Face, and it's like on the one hand they're saying, okay, we're gonna pull our signs of our violent video games and we're not gonna sell these violent video games, and you can walk 30 feet to the gun section and buy a gun in Walmart.
Yeah.
I don't see the logic.
And in certain states, no background check. You can walk right out with that gun and then turn around and go back in that Walmart using that gun.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be a jerk when I say that, but it's true. You could literally do that.
Yep.
And again, there's, like you said, biblically, we had the Holy Crusades. We had World War I, World War II. We had, like you said, Cain. You have the Persian Wars. You have... There's so many wars that happened in humanity. Millions have died over thousands of years over just land or... religion, Helen of Troy, religion. There's always been a factor somewhere, and then, like you said, there's not going to be one blanketed factor. That's here's the problem. Wow, so like you said, Cain, what game was he playing? What game was Alexander the Great playing when he was like, I'm going to take over the entire world?
Genghis Khan first, man.
Oh, Genghis Khan, yeah. I forget about him sometimes.
Genghis Khan was like, I'm going to take over the entire world and I'm going to have fun doing it.
Exactly.
And his version of fun was less fun for everyone else.
Oh, gosh, yes. And then don't forget Vlad the Impaler. I want to know what game he was. I want to play that game.
I don't want to play that game.
I want to know what game he was playing that he's like, I'm going to do this to people. I'm going to do it. Yeah. That looks just... I mean, look at the medieval times, guys. Just go open a book and see what torture devices we used back then.
Yeah.
But that's, nonetheless, I hope, again, just, if you're going to formulate an opinion, just make sure you research everything. That's all I want people to do. You don't have to listen to us banter. You can, literally be like, okay, these guys talked for however long. And I really just want you to go educate yourself. Don't follow mainstream media. Don't follow what the politicians are trying to do. Because remember, there's always somebody lining their pocketbooks as well. Not saying that that's their driving motivation, but, again, you don't know.
I'll say
we don't. Okay. I was trying to be nice and not bash politicians.
No, but, I'll come right out and say it. I mean, there are.
The NRA,
one of the largest lobbyists in the world. The NRA, the National Rifle Association, and and they pay money to both sides. This is not Republican versus Democrat thing. They pay money to both sides and get politicians on both sides of the spectrum to fight against. Common sense gun laws like background checks. I mean, you mentioned, just a minute ago about how in some states you can, buy a gun without a background check. So we're in Texas, right? We're in San Antonio. So this happened a few years ago with me. I had a buddy that was visiting from another state. Mm-hmm. And, and he was interested in purchasing a gun, right? Mm-hmm. And so we went to like a store together. I don't remember exactly what store it was. And, it doesn't really matter. Yeah. But we just went to a store where they sell guns. Mm-hmm. And... so he was kind of looking at a few guns or whatever, and, I don't own a gun. I have no interest in owning a gun, but, whatever. Yeah. I'm not trying to take anyone's, guns away. I'm not like, you can't buy a gun because I don't have one. That's
exactly.
Weird. But, so we're there, and so he's talking to the guy behind the counter, inquiring about buying a gun, whatever, and, and so he said, well, I'm from out of state, and so the guy was like, well, there's a waiting period if you're out of state, and and the guy behind the counter turned to me and said, do you live here? Do you have a Texas ID? And I was like, yeah, I do. And he's like, well, you could buy the gun and give it to him. And I was like,
okay.
No, I'm not going to do this. This is my friend. Like, I know him. I know that he's not going to commit a violent act or anything like that. But I'm not going to buy a gun when I don't have a desire to have a gun and then give it to my friend. And I was just like, I can't believe that just happened. And it was the guy's idea. There, he's trying to get a sale or whatever, but it was his idea. Like, hey, you could just do that. And I was
hilarious.
No. Not going to do that. And it was basically saying, like, you can walk out of the store today. Mm-hmm. Like, they do a 10-minute, basically they take your social security number and they run it through their quick database, and it runs off and just says, you don't have any violent crimes on, on your background. And then 10 minutes later, I could have walked out with a gun in a parking lot. I could have handed it to my buddy, and he would have had a gun. I could have signed it over to him. Now he owns it.
Exactly.
And it literally, it could have taken 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's the type of thing, like, you can do in the state of Texas, or you could. It was like 7 or 8 years ago. I don't think anything has changed, but I'm not up to date on all of Texas gun laws, so I don't want to say that.
If you watch Family Guy, the running joke is go buy a bottle of whiskey, get a free gun. I mean, that's kind of what you got to do in Texas.
Yeah, my running joke when I moved here was, like when you cross the state border, they'll give you the full DVD set of Walker Texas Ranger. So that's a little
must watch.
It's a little less violent, but.
Requirement when you get your Texas ID, talk Walker, Texas Ranger.
That's right.
I mean, and
shout out to Chuck Norris.
I don't like you, Chuck Norris.
Yeah, we're actually not that big fans, but
I mean, and that's the thing. Like, I believe it's Vermont. They don't even do any kind of checks. There's a gun show that a certain politician. He was actually a former, I believe, either Army or Marine. He went in there with a camera, hidden camera, and went to a gun show, talked to the guys. And asked these two gentlemen that he's talking to that are selling guns at this gun show, is there any kind of background check? They laughed at him and said, well, are you going to go shoot people? He says, nope, background check passed. Here you go. Here's your gun. And he walked out with an AR-15. I mean, and literally, again, bought the gun. And not saying he would do this, or not saying anyone would do this. It's happened, though. You could literally go buy the gun, walk out, load it up, put the magazine in, and walk back in and start the place up. I mean, there's nothing stopping you at that point. And that's the sad thing is that we don't have background checks in every state. I have had arguments with family members and friends that there's background checks in every state. No, there's you can quote me if I'm wrong, about 15 or 20 states that don't require background checks.
Yep.
Vermont being one of them. Texas is a very basic one, I believe. I don't think they dig too deep.
Right. Well, that's what I was saying is they don't do a full background check.
No.
They run your information through. I believe it's an FBI database, and it's basically like. It's literally a 10-minute process where they're sending off your social security number to, just check it against that database and make sure that, it's
have you murdered anybody?
Right, it's checking for, violent crimes. And honestly, I don't know how extensive that is. Is it looking at the past year? Is it looking at the past 5 years, 10 years?
Yeah.
I don't know. And so this is why, when we talk about common sense gun laws, people are talking about, background checks. People are talking about restrictions on certain types of weapons that fire, multiple magazines or bullets within a certain amount of time frame. Yeah. I'm sorry, if you need an AR-15 because you hunt deer, then you're a bad deer hunter.
Give me an M1 Grad. I can take one out.
You just don't need that.
Yeah.
And so, to me, I'm not trying to take people's guns away.
No.
But I do think that. There is a certain point where we go, those are not needed in society, and I do think that there is a link in the escalation of mass shootings and the type of weapons that are available.
Exactly.
We already talked. Violence has been around for as long as human history has, right? So we know that that's not the cause of hate, of anger, of murder.
Right.
It's not guns. Guns are not the cause, but they
Jesus
certainly
didn't use guns.
but they certainly can turn, if you look at, someone, you look at Texas, a lot of people, it's an open carry state, a lot of people have guns. And so let's say, that shooting in El Paso, maybe if he didn't have an assault rifle, he could still go into a Walmart and he could still kill a few people, but probably well before he killed 15 people and injured another 30, someone is going to stop him. Right? And so now we're looking at 2, 3, 5, 10, still a tragedy, still horrible. But, the escalation of this due to something like assault weapons that are readily available is definitely something, I have had that argument many times. I have lost that argument many times. I don't necessarily see anything changing in our political future, unfortunately. But, if you were to ask me, that's the first step I would take would be, putting some sort of restriction on those type of assault rifles that, are semi-automatic or automatic weapons.
Yeah.
I just don't think that's something that is needed by anyone in the public.
I agree 100%. And, again, guys, not trying to sway anyone's opinion, I just want people to look up facts. That's all I want.
These are our opinions.
Yeah, these are our opinions. I'm not trying to tell you should take away people's guns, you should go, buy a gun, whatever. Just look at the facts,
If
guys,
someone could snip that out where he said, I'm taking people's guns away,
I'm taking, that's all it's going to be on. That's all people are going to hear now. He wants their guns away, guys. That Geeks of the Web guy out there, I want my gun. Well, I hold my Confederate flag behind me and everything. Oh, God. Anyway,
you lost. Confederate flag people, you lost.
So terrible. Yeah, now he's made to a whole other subject. But anyway, guys.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
So, again, just research your stuff, man. Like, that's really all I want. Go out there and just research it. And try it, like Robert said, live your life still. Maybe keep your head on a swivel. Maybe keep an eye out a little bit more. See if something's suspicious and report it. Security, police, whoever at that time. Chuck Norris, if he's around, maybe he'll do it.
Hey,
roundhouse kick.
And this channel and the geek culture overall is about inclusiveness. It's about everyone is welcome.
They are.
And so have a different opinion. That's okay. Yell at us in the comments if you want. Be respectful.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we're all about inclusiveness. We're all about everyone is welcome. And I think that this community in particular, that is really something that hits home for us because a lot of us, myself included, probably you too, when we were kids, we were ostracized, we were picked on, we were whatever because we were geeks, we were nerdy, we were whatever. And so, it really annoys me when people in the geek and nerd community start to get exclusive or start to be like, no, you can't come in my area. This is my nerdiness, and you're not allowed because that's what was done to us when we were kids.
Oh yeah.
And so I would just encourage everyone. This is about inclusiveness. This is about everyone is welcome. All opinions are welcome. And at the end of the day, I just hope that we can stop talking about these tragedies. I hope that something spurs it. I'm not hopeful, unfortunately, just because, I've been alive for the last 20 years, and we've seen the conversation not change. And I saw something recently, and I don't know who to give credit to because I just saw it randomly online, but. It was somebody that basically said, if Sandy Hook didn't change the conversation, what will it take?
Yeah.
We're talking about little That's children. True. Getting gunned, innocent 5-6-year-olds getting gunned down in their school. Yeah. And if that didn't bring about change,
nothing will.
What will it take? I'm being honest. Yeah. So, at this point, I think unfortunately, it feels like it's just a part of life. It's something that, will just continue to happen, and all we can do is continue to, hold the ones we love close, and hopefully, those people that are affected by these tragedies can find some solace. Communities can come together. I'm friends with, someone from Ohio that's, been pretty affected by the tragedy. He's been to that bar where it happened. And, I don't know how many people he knows that were directly affected by it. But it certainly, has affected him. Yeah. And, he's been part of, charity events. He's been part of different things. He was actually out of town when it happened. He went back to that bar a few days after the shooting happened. And, people were there living their life. And they'd, partnered together and said, we're not going to let this affect us. We're going to keep moving on. And so that's what I would encourage everyone to do is, keep living your life. Don't let these people that have hate in their hearts win. Exactly. Because unfortunately, what they're trying to do is cause that fear, cause that panic, and cause harm. And those people, to all of them,
you're not going to win. To any of them.
Hell no.
That's how I look at it. And on that note, guys, we're going to try to wrap it up here. And this is something we're trying to do maybe once every other week, maybe once a week. We don't know, as often as we can. This will be episode 1 of Talkin Geek, guys. So if you like these kind of things, we kind of talk just random a little bit, but maybe a couple topics here and there. Drop us a like, drop us a comment.
It won't be too somber next time.
Yeah, next time they'll be a little more lighter. There's a few games coming out that I don't want to plug in here because it would be... I can't think of the word. I've been drinking too much. No, but yeah, we'll talk about those later. Maybe in the next video we'll be able to talk about them a little bit more. Hopefully, we'll be playing them, and you can see some of those videos this week. On that note, guys, leave a like, leave a comment. Let us know if you like this idea of some banter, some personal topics, and then something about games or geek related. And we'll keep going. On that note, guys, y'all have fun and enjoy and stay geeky, guys.
Peace.